Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's presentation is about references management and how to write at the end of your manuscript a references section. Well, the presentation is a part of a playlist on master thesis writing and PhD dissertation. I hope you watched previous videos. Now, the references section at the end of your manuscript is very important because many reviewers, first thing they do is that they will open your manuscript or your document, check the references, and based on that they will judge your work. If they find the references list not good, most probably they will give a negative evaluation. If it's even a reviewer, he might give a desk reject. So it's very important to take care of your references at the end of your manuscript and manage them well. So in this presentation we will learn about citation of references in your manuscript and how to develop a thorough reference list and manage your references overall for your manuscript. I'm going to talk about how to perform the in-text citations, how to insert a reference list at the end of your manuscript, how to distinguish and differentiate different references type, what to do with missing and incomplete references, and some takeaway messages. So let's start with the in-text citations. In-text citations means that we will embed the reference in the text directly. And as you can see in this example, we can have different types of in-text citation embedded. Directly embedded in the sentence as a form of a number, or in a form of first author name and year. In my lab, most of the time we use the author year citation, but depending on the citation style, we might sometimes refer to numbered citation references. This will be influenced by the author's instructions that are shared and communicated in association with writing the article or master thesis or the document that I'm going to write. As you can see, in reference management software like EndNote or Zotero or Mendeley or others, you will always find an option that allows you to do the following: insert or add citation. You can see here insert citation. This is in Zotero. Add citation, and while you are writing and you are referring to somebody, you directly add the citation in the location where you are quoting or referring to a work of somebody, and by that you are embedding in the text the citation while you are writing and developing your text. So citation is not something we do at the end of the work. We do it while we are writing, because if we don't do that, we will forget, and then we'll have problems with plagiarism. Now, there is different citation reference styles that influence the way how we embed in the text the references and how we represent them. We have very famous ones like the APA, the Chicago, Harvard, MLA, Turabian, and the IEEE citation style. The IEEE citation style, for example, only allows for numbered references, so you will have only a number embedded in the text, and then you will have at the end of the manuscript a reference list in the section of references with every reference numbered, and then you can get into the details. So therefore it's very important to distinguish those two, and you can see, like I told you, example. This is the IEEE example with the number, this on the left, and this is on the here with the APA. And you can see here is that in Zotero, for example, there is an option called cite styles, cite styles. Under styles you can select APA, IEEE, American Psychological Association, and based on the choice of your style, the reference will appear either as a number or as the author and the year. So some advices to make the right in-text citation: make sure to cite the reference at the end of the sentence where you are writing, not at the end of the paragraph. Because at the end of the paragraph, most of the time we must have a conclusive statement. In the beginning of the paragraph, we start always with an introduction statement, end of the paragraph, conclusive statement, meaning that if you are going to cite, it will be in the body of your paragraph. Wherever you are citing a reference, you can directly cite it at the end of the sentence. Make sure that you do not or avoid citing the reference at the end of the paragraph, and make sure that you use the family name and the first author, meaning that always you mention the family name first and then the initial of the first author if you are using APA citation style or author-based citation style. If you are using IEEE, for example, you just have a number. Now let's move to the second section of today's presentation, which is how to insert a reference list at the end of my manuscript. Well, as you can see, any manuscript for any document, article, report, dissertation, or thesis, we need to have a list of references at the end that will group all the citations that we did in the text. And this is how it will look. We'll have a section called references, and then we'll find the reference either numbered or alphabetically, chronologically listed. What we will do in this case, we will go to the references section of our manuscript, turn on our citation or references management software, in this case, for example, Zotero, and I will just say add bibliography. Add bibliography. I add a bibliography, a whole list will pop up, assuming that I already fed it and I had already sufficient in-text citations in my manuscript. Now, some advices to avoid: never insert references as footnotes, and never type the author's names completely in capital letters. This is very commonly happening. People leave the whole citation reference in capital letters. We never use capital letters unless it's the first letter of a word for an author, for an initial of the family name, or for the first name. And even the title and the text of the reference should be only the capital first letter for the first word in the title. And don't do what you can see here, that we come at the end of our page down and we start to do a footnote and we insert our references as footnote. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having references embedded in the text, in-text citations, and then creating a reference list at the end of the manuscript after the conclusion or after the acknowledgement, and there I will generate the list using the reference management software. And all that should not be done manually. This should be done by installing the Zotero or the reference management software, EndNote or Mendeley, in my Word file and directly managing my references by cross-linking this plug-in that manage my references with the manuscript. So avoid footnotes and don't use them at all in scientific work. Now, how can we differentiate different reference types and to be more aware about the different types of references? Well, in the matter of fact, there is different types of documents and references: articles, conferences, standards, master thesis, PhD dissertations, reports, websites, interviews, emails, books, and other type of references like data sets, encyclopedia, podcasts. We are having a huge proliferation of different formats of data, and this means that you will need to be, first of all, identify what is the type of the manuscript that you are citing or the reference that you are citing, and based on that you will properly cite it. And as you can see again in Zotero or in the reference management software, you will be always asked when you insert a reference what is the type of the reference, so that the format will be appropriate, corresponding to the nature of the reference. So let's go with the main features of any citation of any references. As you can see, any citation must include those general 9 points, sometimes not all of them, sometimes only 7 points, sometimes 6 points, sometimes all the 9. So let's start with the first information that must be in all references. The authors. I need to have the authors, the last name and the initials of the authors included in the reference, then the year, then the title of my document or reference, and you need to make sure to capitalize only the first word of a title or the first word of the first sentence of your title of your document or reference. Then you need to define the type, not every time. Actually, we mention the type with specific type of documents like reports, master thesis, PhD dissertation, standards, but we do not mention the type for journal articles, for example. We don't need to say journal article. One of the exceptions with journal articles, if we are citing them, is that we don't mention that they're journal articles. They're the only exception, but most other documents we must mention what is the type of the document. Is it a conference paper, it's a report, it's a master thesis, it's a PhD dissertation, it's a standard, and so on. Then I must mention the publisher. The publisher is the house that printed this document or created this document, and I need to mention this publisher. Then I need to mention the city. where is this publisher located, and the country. And then I can go with the digital object identifier, which is a DOI number. If I have a journal article, I must mention the DOI volume and issue. So for journal articles, we must have the DOI volume and issue. And then if we're having a website, then we must mention the URL and the access date, meaning the unique reference link and the access date for the website. So those are general characteristics for citation of any reference. Now, I'm going to show you some examples of ideally cited references. This is a journal article. As you can see, we have the author names, we have the year of publication, we have the title, and then we have the name of the journal, which is called Energy and Buildings. Then I have the volume, the page number or the issue number, and then I have a DOI and a link for the DOI. So this is how we cite journal articles. Now let's take another example with citing a report or standard or a master thesis or a PhD dissertation. They're very close. We'll have the first, again, name of the authors, the year, the title of the document, and then the nature of the document. Here you should say report, or you say a standard, or you say master thesis, or you say PhD dissertation, and then you should say the publisher or the organization, whether it's a university or an agency or an institution, and then you can say the city, and you must say actually the city and the country. So this is how we cite a report, a standard, or a master thesis or a PhD. If you are citing something in the European Union, a standard, European standard, that it will be Communauté Européenne or European Community, CEN, European Community, Normalization, or European Commission, Brussels, Belgium. If you are citing ISO, for example, International Standardization Organization, Geneva, Switzerland, and so on. So you need to know the documents that you are working on, where they are published, who is issuing them, United Nations, which kind of part of United Nations, and where is the headquarters that is publishing this work. Third type of references I would like to share with you, which comes a lot, which is the websites. Here I need to know who is the author of the website. I can check in the about, write the author of the website, then the year where I visited the website, put the title of the website, and I need to add two important information. I must make sure that the website I say available at, so I put a URL link for the website, and I need to mention also when was it accessed on the 21st of November 2025. And here I need to have a comma, so don't forget to add a comma between accessed and the website. If you have a long URL that is exceeding one line, use short URL, meaning that you go on a website and just generate a short URL. If you just Google short URL, you will find a lot of platforms that can generate short URL links. You just copy the long one and they will generate for you a very short URL, and then you can include it. By that you will shorten your list of references, and you will not have a list of reference that can be 5 or 6 lines as a chunk in the reference list section. Well, let's move now to a very common also problem that many researchers forget about, that you will need always to manage the incomplete references, because sometimes when you are using a reference management system like Zotero or EndNote or Mendeley, and you link it, for example, to Google Scholar or Scopus, and you extract or import the citation will be incomplete. So you will need to go back manually and complete the citation. And as you can see, this is a reference list that shows that the researcher who developed it is totally inexperienced, and his reference list is incomplete. For example, we have here a name of a standard or like a name of a PhD dissertation, first author, the year, I have a title, and then nothing more. I don't know what's that. So we need to complete the entries, and we must go back to the reference management software and add the additional information, revise the type so that this missing information must come up. If I have a PhD, as you can see, the PhD must be written PhD dissertation, TU Delft, the Netherlands, and then I have the URL shortened, HTTP. For example, here I have a standard ISO, the year, the title, ISO organization, Genève, Swiss, for example, assuming that I am citing in French. every time, always, I must make sure what is the type of my reference, and I add the missing information. So part of your work as a researcher and a scientist is to take the time, check all the incomplete references, and then make sure that you are completing those references and checking any missing information. As you can see, it takes time. You must add for a website, when was it accessed, and so on. So this is so important to take it into account, that you correct incomplete references. Even it will necessitate that you go back to the software and re-enter manually the reference and make sure that it is appropriate cited, because like I told you, expert will directly find any discrepancy, and based on that they will judge your work. So make sure that your work is professional. Well, I'm ending up today's presentation. Some takeaway messages before I leave you. References management are so important, and the reference section at the end of your manuscript is so important part, and you should not leave it at the end. Most students think that's something I will do it at the end. No way, you will fail. You must make it grow while you are growing your text. You must build it up while you are writing your manuscript. So from day one, check if there is a template of your manuscript, use the template and feed in text citations and create a reference list at the end section and directly make it grow week by week, months by months. If you leave it at the end, you will completely fail, because you will be not able to handle any feedback that is done in 1 or 2 sessions. You will need always to allow your supervisors to check the evolution of your reference list and the evolution of your reference section until you become an expert. And believe me, this is the ABC success, go, no go for any master thesis, professional report for an internship, or a PhD dissertation. So select a reference management software. I use in my lab Zotero. You can use EndNote, Mendeley, or others. Insert the references directly in the text. Don't use footnotes. Don't put them at the end of the paragraphs. Don't wait and put them manually. Use the reference management software to directly do in citation in the text. Create a reference list at the end of the manuscript from day one and let it grow with time. Select a reference style and distinguish the references types. Don't put all the references as if they are one article. No, this is an article, this is a report, this is a PhD, this is a standard, this is a website, this is an interview, this is a book. Distinguish them and make sure that you are raising your awareness about the references styles so that you become more educated in this area. Use short URLs. It's totally unacceptable to have long URLs that exceeds 1 line, so use short URL and complete the entries and revise the references until they appear as expected to show that you are fully taking care of them. If the reviewers think that you are careless or sloppy with references, believe me, the whole negative vibe of this evaluation of the reference section will influence your whole work, and I saw year after year people getting bashed, getting grades lowered just because their reference list was not appropriate. So please take care of the reference management system, invest in it, and you will have an excellent reference list with a good citation in text system. Thank you very much for your attention. This presentation was part of a playlist on master's thesis writing and PhD dissertation. Don't hesitate to watch the following video. Thank you very much. Today's presentation was mainly about references management and how to create your reference section at the end of your manuscript, part 1. Thank you for your attention.